I was having lunch a while ago with some friends of mine and my producer who's been with me, our executive producer now, Blake Thompson, who's been with me for almost 20 years. And he said, Dave, you know who one of the very first guests you had on the air, because you don't have guests on the air very often still, and you certainly in the early days never had them, hardly. Who one of the very first guests you had on the air that was a big deal? And I said, who's that? And he said, the guy we're eating lunch with, Dr. Henry Cloud, who wrote the book Boundaries. Henry's in town, and so we said, hey, dude, come by, hang out with us a couple of segments, because it's always very popular to have you on the radio. And, by the way, if you're coming to Dallas to our SMART conference because you want to be smart, Henry's going to be one of the people helping you do that. So, very cool. Welcome back, Henry.
Good to be here, Dave. Actually, don't people come to the SMART conference because they are smart, right?
You know, it is oxymoronic, isn't it?
Well,
It's like a paradox. The people that need to come don't, and the ones that don't need to come do.
That's the way it works a lot of times.
But
if you are not smart and you are out there and you're getting hit by a lightning bolt today and you realize I want to be smart, it is a good day to do that.
It'll start you on your smart journey.
It's the wake up smart call.
Yeah, Dr. Henry Cloud, author of one of my favorite books ever, Boundaries, is going to be speaking. He's with us this hour. Andy Andrews, one of the top speakers in America today, author of the New York Times bestseller, The Traveler's Gift. Emerson Eggerichs, probably the best voice on marriage out there today, author of the book Love and Respect. His daughter Joy will be joining him speaking. And one of my favorite parenting authors of all time, Meg Meeker, author of Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters. All of these people, with Rachel Cruz, my daughter, talking legacy, and me talking money in one room, the Verizon Theater, 7,000 people, and for one day from 9 in the morning until about 6 or so that evening, however it works out, 5 or 6, 8, I don't know what it is, something like that. Anyway, you're going to leave there. These are my best, some of my favorite people. I thought if I could have anybody, and I drew it up, and then voila, they were all available. By the way, it's almost sold out. There's only about 400 tickets left. The tickets are like $69. Are they $69 or $79? $79? $69. $69. Good. I'm getting a cue from the booth reading lips, but good. And you can get that at daveramsey.com or call our customer care at 888-22-PEACE. Now, enough of the tickets. Welcome back to the microphone, Henry. You going to talk on boundaries? Is that what you're
I'm
going to talk
about boundaries, and specifically, Dave, about, the thing I like about the SMART conference is it's about all of life. It's not just money, and it's not just family, it's not just marriage. And the way that I believe success works in all areas of life is those things are the fruit of being in control of yourself. And the fruit of self-control ends up in a lot of different arenas. So we will be talking about how to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that happens when you get on the air here, and by the way, if you want to talk to Henry about boundaries, you've got boundary issues, you think, in your family members that are always asking you for money, family.
Does that ever happen?
Yeah,
Dave?
kids that are 32 and won't leave. These kinds of boundary type issues. Henry's here, and he can help you to help them have some problems.
I told Dave the story at lunch. I have two daughters, 11 and 13, and we were at breakfast. And I was just asking about, okay, so what kind of guys do you want to marry? We're just having, breakfast conversation. And my 11-year-old, who at the time was 9, she said, well, I know what I don't want. And I said, what's that, Lucy? And she says, I don't want somebody who's 40 and lives on his mother's couch.
Boom!
And
That's a dad going score right there.
This kid is going to be okay.
This one's going to make it.
She's got some boundaries.
So if you want to talk about that, the phone number is 888-825-5225. Boundaries, when you first just hear the word kind of hanging out there the way we're just dropping it in this conversation, it sounds a little nebulous. From a standpoint of just personal relationships and leadership and success and money, what's a good basic definition of boundaries? What are they? Why do we need them?
Well, basically, the basic definition is the boundary is a property line. If you think of your home or your apartment or your house, there's a property line that defines where you end and someone else begins. Okay, so once you establish this is me and that's you, then we know some key elements of life. Who's in control of what we're not in control of, and also what we have to be responsible for. And where boundaries get screwed up is in families. You've got a lot of times one person that you see it on the show all the time, one person that's out of control spending or out of control, irresponsible. But somehow the boundaries are unclear, so the responsibility of that and the consequences of that are falling on the wrong person, the parent or the loved one. And yet they can't control that other person's behavior, and boundaries help straighten all that out.
I didn't even think of that. That call I got in the other hour was a boundary call, I believe. Well, no, it was in this hour. The lady that called, and she and her husband had co-signed for their son's student loans, $100,000, and he's got his degree in philosophy.
Oh.
And so guess what? He's waiting tables. And her question was the wrong question, and I was trying to think about how to be nice to her and kind to her, but her question was, how are we going to pay this back?
We.
Yeah, there was the problem, the pronoun.
Yeah.
And so there was the secret. And so my advice was for her to help him solve his career crisis.
Right.
That he has. But that's a boundary thing, really. It
is a boundary thing. And you know, there is a created order in life. And the way that life is designed is that someone should be responsible for what they can control, and someone else should be responsible for what they can control. And it's things like our own feelings, our own attitudes, our belief systems, our choices, our behaviors. I can only control mine. You can only control yours. And when we each take responsibility, we have something called relationship and love and freedom, and good things happen. But when those boundaries are crossed, Dave, like co-signing, okay, I am going to take the responsibility of a loan that you're supposed to pay back, right? But I don't have control of you. If you're on the couch, you know, playing, what is it, Xbox, Game Boy or something, and I can't control that. So what do? What happens? Now I'm nagging. Now I'm going, when are you going to go work? When are you going to, and I'm trying to get somebody to do something that they're in control of not doing. Now we have a relationship problem. So if we get the boundaries straight, then we don't have what is referred to, you know, if you go way back to the prophets, what do they say? It's trespassing. See, a trespasser is when you step in somebody else's yard, in their heart, mind, soul, or body, and you're not an invited guest, you're a trespasser, and all sorts of bad things happen.
Even as simple as getting in my personal space.
That's right.
That's it.
There is a personal space.
The book is called Boundaries.
I noticed you were scooting back there.
Yeah. When to say yes, how to say no, how to take control of your life. And it's the book that I've given away literally thousands of copies of here on the air. The author, Dr. Henry Cloud, is with us, and we're glad he's here. Boundaries for your family, for your friends, your spouse, your children, boundaries in work, boundaries for yourself. You've got a new book that's doing very well called Boundaries for Leaders.
Boundaries for Leaders, yep.
And what's weird is that there's leaders almost all around us. We sometimes don't think of mom with the kids as a leader, but she is.
Well, that is exactly right. And one of the things I try to do in the book is look, if everybody, whether it's mom trying to get the kids in the van by 8 o'clock to go to school, or it's somebody running a company, everybody is trying to do pretty much the same thing. You start with a vision or desired result. You engage the talent to go do it. You have a strategy. You execute that strategy. You hold people accountable, and then you kind of fix what you find along the way. If that's true, if everybody's doing the same thing, why do some people get results and others don't? And the answer a lot of times is because some people are leading people with the boundaries that people's brains can follow, and other people are trying to lead people and confusing those boundaries so nobody can actually follow them. And whether it's in a family or a business, there's a handful of boundaries that are absolutely essential for people's brains to get results.
The book is called Boundaries. It started the Henry Cloud revolution, and it's morphed into Boundaries for Teenagers, Boundaries for Leaders. It was teenagers, wasn't there?
But John Townsend wrote Boundaries for Teens.
Okay.
We wrote Boundaries for Boundaries with Kids, and Boundaries for Marriage, and Boundaries for Dating, and now the last one that I did was Boundaries for Leaders.
And then you've got Necessary Endings, which is a type of setting boundaries, without a doubt. And then we've got Integrity. All bestsellers, and you can check them out. Let me just tell you, if Henry Cloud wrote it, you should read it. I have. And but if you're going to start your journey on the Henry Cloud ship, you need to start it with Boundaries, and it'll lay the foundation for you. He's going to be speaking with me and with all this other dream team at the SMART conference in Dallas, and we want you to come. There's just a few tickets left. Literally, there's about 300-400, something like that this morning, and it's almost sold out. It's going to be March the 29th, and at the Verizon Theater, which is very nice. About you and about 7,000 of your closest friends will be there, with Henry Cloud, Andy Andrews, Emerson Eggridge, Meg Meeker, Dave Ramsey, Rachel Cruz, Emerson's daughter Joy as well. And so we're going to talk about marriage. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about boundaries. We're going to talk about everything.